Hey guys, I know it's been forever since I have posted a book video. I've been dealing with a lot, but now I'm back. I'm hoping to start posting on a regular basis. Um, I have a couple of updates before I get into my video today. If you're wondering why my face and my hands look a little bit different, I have that posted on another video on my main channel. But basically my skin condition has kind of worsened in the past year and I can't wear makeup or anything like that. So you'll notice my face is a little bit redder from time to time. And this is my library. If you noticed on my screen name, I call myself my hidden library. It's because in future videos, you won't be able to see the spines of the book. So you won't know what it is I'm reading or what it is I'm not. But since this is my first video in a really long time, I figured I would just go ahead and let you guys kind of see everything that I'm reading. I have a pretty big book haul today because I ordered from Book Outlet like a month ago, and I think they were having like a really big sale, like they were doing like 25% off or like free shipping or both, or there was just a lot of good deals going on, so I got like a bunch of books for like $1 a piece. So I'm going to go through those, and then I got a couple more books the other day because we found a really, really good sale at Barnes & Noble. I think the books were like, I want to say like $5 each. So I got a couple of those too. And what I do is I read all the books on my shelf, and you'll notice I have two of them. So they're pretty big. I have one that's 3 and then another that's 3. So what I do is I read all of the books on my shelves, and then I sell them on Depop, or I sell them to my local bookstore, or I donate them so that I can get more books. I'm not, I guess, the typical reader that like keeps hundreds of thousands of books and then just keeps buying more and more. I try to, I guess, upcycle so that I can, get more books, but then still not feel bad about having so much. I guess that's kind of the minimalist approach. But if a friend gives me a book, I always keep those. For example, you'll see the Outlander books on the top. My best friend in the whole world gave those to me. And if you're a friend of mine and you give me a book, they will never, ever leave my shelf, and they will be on my shelf forever. So rest assured that if you ever give me a book as a present, it's staying on the shelf. I had a friend ask me that already when she heard about like what I do with my books. But anyway, long intro aside, the first book haul that we're going to show is the books that I got from Book Outlet, and then I'll show you guys the books that I got at Barnes & Noble the other day. So the first one is The Program. And this one kind of sounded interesting because suicide in this book is like, I guess, a national epidemic, I think it said. And there's like a program for treatment. And I know it's like so bad that I'm like reading this like right in front of you guys, but I couldn't remember like everything I ordered. So it says that the only course of treatment is the program. And I remember in the description it said something like she meets a guy and they're trying to escape the program together. And so it kind of sounds like, a dystopian future type thing. And I kind of like the idea of like rebelling against the, and fighting the system. So I got that one. Where am I going to stick this? We're going to stick that over there. This is Bad Girls with Perfect Faces. If I remember right, this is the story of a guy is like dating the wrong girl or something. And they get back together, and his friend is really upset that they get back together, so she makes like a fake profile online or something and tries to get them to break up, and then it like blows up in her face. So I kind of thought that was cool too. You'll notice that most of these books are YA. It's because me and my friend love to read YA. That's mostly what we read. I do read other genres as well, but I mostly stick to YA just because I like them so much. And I'm actually doing a YA reading challenge right now, so I kind of figured, it would go really well together to just do them both. The next one is Shatter. This was actually one of the ones that I was really excited about getting because it was $1 for like a hardback cover, which is awesome. And I read the first one, and I'm probably going to do a book review on it, but no spoilers. I had issues with the first one, but I found myself wanting to read the second one to see if maybe there was like a redemption for some of the characters that I didn't really like in the first one. And I was halfway through this one, and my my library, I had to return it to the library, but then there was like a 6-week waiting list. And I figured this would get here on my shelf sooner than the library would have it, so I just bought it. But I'm already halfway through it, and I'm seeing some problems in this one too, so I'm just hoping that the end is better. But the first book in this series is Glitter, and it's about a girl who they live in a modern world, but they live in the Palace of Versailles, and everything is just as it would be with Marie Antoinette's time, except that they have like robots that like do their cleaning and their cooking and stuff like that. So it's basically like you live in Marie Antoinette's time, but with all the modern conveniences of today. So they have like, you know, iPads and, you know, all the latest technology and stuff like that. So it's a cool idea. I just feel like the first book kind of didn't deliver as much as I thought it was going to. And I'm hoping that this one gets better. So far, I would say it's probably like a 3 out of 5. I'm hoping by the end of the book it's like a 5 out of 5. This one is The Contender, and it's about a high school dropout that is trying to find himself in a boxing ring. And it sounded like a really good idea when I read the premise, and it sounded like something that I would really be interested in. I always love like the underdog stories where like, you know, somebody has like a really hard past or they have a really hard time growing up and then they just kind of get their redemption arc in the end. So when I read the synopsis for this, I thought it sounded really interesting, and I'm hoping that it lives up to the hype. This one is The Deceivers. It's, from what I'm understanding, it's a school for con artists. And I thought that was kind of an interesting premise as well, so I picked this up. And I believe that one of the deciding factors, because this was kind of like a maybe for me, was that it was only like, I think this one was $1.81 for being a hardback. And you can't really find $1.81 hardback anywhere else. So I figured, you know, if I try it and I don't like it, then I've only wasted like $1.81. The next one we have is Fake ID, and the cover is really damaged. This was actually one of the reasons that I was hesitant to buy from Book Outlet, because I've seen other people get like covers that are really, really damaged. And this one is not as pretty as I was hoping it would be. But that's okay, because, like I said, it was really cheap, and I'm not super picky when it comes to my books. Like, yeah, I'm disappointed it's damaged, but I'm not, like, gonna cry in a corner about it. This one is about a teenager, I believe, and he's, like, in witness protection or something. Like, the back says, you know, my name really isn't this. I shouldn't tell you where I'm from. So this one is kind of like somebody hiding out with, like, a fake ID, and, like, I think he gets caught and they're like trying to get him back to where he was or something like that. It sounded kind of like a mystery book to me, or like, and it kind of sounded like it had action in it as well. So I figured that would be a good one for me as well. I do tend to stick a lot with like fantasy YA books and things like that, but I do try to like spread it out so that I have like more that I can read. Like, for example, like, I'm not a real big fan of horror, but when I do feel like I want to read horror, I read Stephen King or horror YA and things like that. I read a lot of contemporary YA romances, so I just try to be as, like, diverse as possible. The next one is One of Us is Lying. This was also on my library card, and I had to return it, and there's actually a 12-week waiting list for this. And I was like, yeah, I'm not waiting 12 weeks when I could just wait a month for Book Outlet to get it to me. This one it's kind of like a Breakfast Club meets, oh, I can't remember. Like, I had a perfect way of describing this, and now I can't remember. But basically, it's really like the Breakfast Club, but like with a modern twist. These teenagers get put in detention, and one of the teenagers dies. And they're trying to figure out who did it, because he died like in detention, and only 5 people were there. I think there was 5 people there. If I've got that wrong, I'm sorry. I haven't read this in a really long time, and I was only halfway through it. But they were trying to figure out who killed the person that died, and for the rest of the book, like, they're being haunted by, you know, the specter of like who killed him, and everybody's watching them. Their secrets get revealed because each of the teenagers in detention had like a specific secret that they didn't want anyone to know, and all of their secrets get leaked after the person dies. So throughout the book, they're just trying to figure out who did it. I kind of, now that I remember, I kind of already have a clue about what happened, and I'm 90% sure I'm right. It's been taking like everything out of me not to spoil myself, because I remember when I turned this back into the library, I was like so tempted to spoil myself, and I didn't, because I hate when I do that. And so if I'm right, that'll be pretty interesting, because I like to play Sherlock Holmes when I'm reading books and see if like I can guess like who did what and all that. So if I'm right, it's a good plot twist. But I hear from other people that have read this book, the plot twist is like really, really good. So I'm hoping I get to it soon. I think I was on page like 94. So I think I still have like a long way to go before I get to the plot, or the plot twist, I should say. And the next one is Romeo and Julio. I remember, I think reading like, I think I was like almost done with this when I was in college, and I don't think I ever read the ending because something happened to the book when I was moving, and I saw it and it was so cheap, and I was like, you know what, just for like old time's sake, I wanna finish this out and see what happens. The premise kind of reminds me of Crazy Beautiful, because it's like two people from like two completely different worlds, and you know, they're trying to come together and have like an actual relationship, and like their families don't approve, and so, you know, it's a lot of drama, but they're trying to be together because obviously they love each other and they want to just fight, you know, everything and prove that love conquers all. I'm a sucker for love conquers all, so I figured I wanted to read this book and see what happens in the end, because I never finished it. This one, I do not even remember what it's about. Let me read it real quick. Okay, so this one is, I believe it's a middle grade book, and it's called Jasmine's Notebook. And it's about this girl growing up in hard times, and she lives on Amsterdam Avenue, and her dad died, and it's like basically her thoughts and everything like while growing up in like such a hard neighborhood and things like that. And that sounded really good to me too, so I wanted to read that. This one is actually damaged too on the back, which kind of stinks, but that's all right. This one is Almost Impossible. It's about a girl who falls for a guy, and she says, like, the tagline of the book is, falling for him is easy, but staying together could be impossible. So it's basically like a story about first love and what happens when, you know, you find the right person. Or it could be about what happens when you find the wrong person, because I haven't read it yet. Okay, this one is The Absoluteness of Nothing. And it's about a guy named Caleb Tosh, and he suffered personal tragedies and traumas, so he escapes into the world of video games. The video game is called The Boneyard, and as he's spending like more and more time into it, he's like kind of losing himself, because like he spends so much time in like a virtual world, he's losing himself in the real world. And my husband and I are actually really big video gamers, so I thought this would kind of be interesting to see like what would happen if you like fell down the rabbit hole of, you know, video games and like you can't get yourself out. And I've seen a lot of different TV shows portray what happens like if you fall too far down the rabbit hole of video games and like you get addicted to video games. So I kind of wanted to read this just to get like a YA perspective on it. Okay, we've got two more in here. Okay, so this one is Love and Luck. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is part of a series, because we went to Barnes & Noble and I saw like 4 books that had like the same spine. So I think they're all like in the same series, just like different characters. So this one is about a girl, and her brother are like fighting, and I think it's her aunt wants to take them to Ireland. And her brother has like this friend, and she falls in love with a friend, and they're like exploring Ireland together. And I think like when I read the synopsis, they said like a bunch of drama happens with like the 3 characters, and it's about like mending the relationship that she has with her brother. And I love reading stories about like families coming together, so I wanted to read that one too. I think the other book that I saw that kind of like had a cover like this was Love and Gelato, which I think I started last year, but I don't think I ever finished it. So if I can find that one, I'll I'll probably be adding that book to my TBR as well. And then the last book in here is Crossing the Line, which was this guy, and see, I'm like subtly like sneaking peeks at the back. This teenager has like an abusive stepdad, and he meets this girl, and you know, they're trying to like form a relationship with everything that's going on with his life and everything that's going on with her life, and they're wondering if like them being together would be crossing the line. So it's basically a YA contemporary romance, which, like I said, I'd love to read, so I figure I would really like that one too. There was actually 2 other books on my order, but before I could put in my credit card information, both books were gone, which was crazy because it literally only took me like 10 seconds to find my credit card. And now I can't remember what those books were, which kind of sucks because I have no way to figure out what other 2 books I was going to get. But the books I found at Barnes & Noble were Everything, Everything, which is a story of a girl named Madeline who her mom tells her she's allergic to everything and she has to stay inside. I'm pretty sure they made this into a movie. Yeah, they did. They made this into a movie. And I'm like really behind on the trend because I haven't read this yet. But she's allergic to everything, and this guy named Ollie moves next door, and they start like IMing each other, and I don't know what happens in the movie because I didn't watch it, because I wanted to read the book first. But right now I'm at the part of the story where they're like IMing each other, they're forming a friendship, it's obvious he likes her. But if memory serves correctly from what I've heard about the book, he encourages her to like go outside and see, you know, if she can discover like who she really is instead of just being locked up in a cage. The other book I got was Delirium, and as you can see on my shelf, I have Requiem and Pandemonium, and oh no, I take that back. I didn't get these from Barnes & Noble. I got these in a sale on Facebook because she was selling like all the books for $5. So I ended up getting Requiem and Pandemonium too. And the Delirium series is about a girl named Lena who lives in a society where they believe love is like deadly. So anyone who has like symptoms of falling in love, like butterflies, or you know, or if you're caught like kissing a boy or talking to a boy, then you get in trouble. And there's a cure that everybody takes when they're 18, and it takes away like all feelings of love, all inappropriate feelings, and you know, what have you. And so she meets this boy named Alex who's a cured, which is someone that they call who's already gone through the cure. But she notices that she's like falling for him, and I'm assuming that there's going to be some pretty big, you know, epic story that's happening here because obviously, you know, since you can't have love in this society, 2 people falling in love is obviously going to be like a big thing. And then she lives with her aunt and her cousins because her mom had the cure 3 times, and then the mom commits suicide, which isn't a spoiler because it tells you that like right within the first chapter. But since I don't want to spoil anything else, I'm just going to say that it sounds like a really good premise because I've never really heard of a story where like love doesn't exist at all and it's like viewed as like, get away from us, and you know, I've never heard of something like that. It kind of also reminds me of The Truman Show a little bit because in The Truman Show, everything is decided for Truman, but he doesn't know that everything is decided for him. In this one, you do know everything is decided for you, but like you cannot make like any decisions. Like if you're uncured, you have a curfew, you have to be home at a certain time, you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, the boys go to one school, the girls go to another school, it's completely separated. So like the government controls everything and they like tap your phone lines and it's just crazy. So that kind of sounded like really interesting to me, and I'm about not even a quarter of the way through it. But so far it sounds really interesting from everything that I've read. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, where is it? Oh, the last 3 books that I got are, if I can get this big honking thing out, King and Queens. It's a chronicle of history's most interesting monarchs. I am fascinated with Tudor history. I probably know more about it than people who have studied it for a really long time. I'm not going to say I know more about it than like historians, because that would be tooting my own horn, and it's probably not accurate because they spend their whole lives studying it. But I do know like more than most people do. Like, one of my English teachers in high school actually didn't know certain facts about them, and I did, so that was kind of cool. But this has like all the craziest monarchs, all their scandals. It's got like all the most dangerous monarchs, the like rituals and stuff that they used to do, the ways they used to kill people. And I figured it was kind of like a really good idea to get it for someone who's interested in history. So I got that one. I got Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I have been trying to read this forever, and my library never has it. I think they had like the second one, but they never had the first one. And then they had the first one, and I couldn't find it. So I decided to get it while I could. And this is a story about... It's like all these different prodigies, and they have like special skills, and like it's another basic story about like where they're rebelling against the government and things like that, but each person has like their own unique skill, and it sounds really, really cool, and I can't wait to get started on it. But I've already got like 5 other books that I'm reading first, so this is going to be book number 6 that I'm going to be reading. Alrighty, last one. Caravel. I have actually read this book, and I tell people my Goodreads is not complete because there's, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's like 30 books that I need to put on there, and I just keep forgetting to do it. But I had to sell the copy that I had. It was so pretty. But I had to get rid of the copy that I had, and I've been wanting to do a reread with my friend. And so I ended up getting the first book back, and I am hoping to get the second book back and the third book back too. I had the third book, so I would have just needed the second book, but it got ruined, so I have to find it again. But this is a really, really amazing story, and I tell everybody they need to read it. I'm not even going to tell you guys what it's about, because I want you guys to figure it out on your own, and I want you to read it. Because this story is like amazing, and it's great for book club. Like, if you have a bunch of friends and you guys don't know what to read, but you love YA, I would definitely recommend this book. This is actually going to be book 7 on my TBR list. So that is all my books. This is probably like a 20-minute video, so thank you guys for sticking with me to the end. I really appreciate it. You guys will be seeing more videos from me in the future. If I manage to read all of these books within a reasonable amount of time, you'll be seeing an unhaul video. If I don't manage to read all these books within a reasonable amount of time, you'll be seeing a book review from me. Because I've got so many books that I've been reading that I want to give book reviews and like tell people, you know, my thoughts about it, and try and see if, you know, other people have the same ideas that I did. So my next book review will probably be The Glitter by April Lynn Pike, which was the first book in the series that I was talking about before. I also did promise way back within, I believe the reading challenges that we were doing last year, I promised to do a book review on the Road by Jack Kerouac, so I'll be doing one on that as well. I just have to reread it. So thank you guys so much, and stay safe.